Friday and the White Dome. On Saturday, when the white sun illuminated the earth, the king put on a white robe and adorned himself with white jewelry and headed towards the White Dome. Until night, King Bahram was engaged in pleasant activities with the Iranian princess. When the night drew a dark curtain on the sky and the moon and stars shone, the king asked the resident of the White Dome to excite him with a story. Then the lady of the White Dome prayed under Bahram's reign, "Iran's prosperity continues to grow each day." Then she said, "One day my mother was a guest at a friend's house. Various types of sweets decorated with pistachios and almonds were prepared on the table, and various fruits, such as ray grapes and Isfahan apples, were ready for the party, and a table of laughter and joy was set up. Each of us told a legend to entertain others. One of the friends shared a heartwarming story that was as sweet as honey in milk, and this story was as follows. There was a young man who was sweet-spoken. During the lesson, he was innocent like Jesus, but at the party, he caused temptation like Joseph. He was both knowledgeable and competent, but his piety surpassed everyone. The young man had a garden that was like the garden of Iram, full of trees surrounding the garden. The soil of the garden smelled of musk, and its fruits seemed to have come from paradise. A stream flowed under the cypresses, grass grew on the banks of the river, and the birds were singing melodiously. Every wealthy man wished to own that garden. The man went to see the garden every week in his leisure time, and walked in that delightful environment to relieve fatigue and feel better. One day, he said to himself, "It's time to go to my garden and spend some time there." But when he reached near the garden, he saw that the door was closed. It seemed like the garden gate was as solid as a large rock, and he couldn't pass through it to enter the garden. It seemed like the gardener was also asleep. However, from inside the garden, the enchanting sound of a harp could be heard, and a romantic song was echoing in the garden, intertwined with the rustling of the tree branches swaying in the breeze, moving in harmony with the music. The young man, upon hearing this song, lost his patience and knocked on the door several times forcefully, hoping someone would open it. But no one answered him. It seemed like at that moment the cypress tree was dancing and the rose was asleep. The young man ran around the garden to find a way inside, but it seemed like there was no way to enter the mysterious garden. So, in the end, he broke down the garden wall to enter, and see what the story behind this harmonious music and harp playing was. On the other hand, two men with broad chests were guarding the wall of the garden, lest a stranger enter and see the beautiful women inside the garden. So when the young man went into the garden through that hole, the girls inside the garden saw him and shouted that a thief had come, a thief had come. So the guards pounced on him, beat him with fists and kicks, and tied his hands and feet. The man said, "What accusation is this that you are tying me with? This is my garden, and I am the owner of this garden, and I have the right to enter it in any way, and at any time I want. Whether through the door or through the hole in the wall." So the maids of the garden asked him for some signs to investigate whether the man was telling the truth or not. So when all the signs proved the man's ownership of the garden, the guards untied his hands and feet, apologized to him, closed the breach in the garden wall with thorns, and sat in front of the owner of the garden and explained that the most beautiful women in the city had gathered here and are busy with a feast. Come and wander with us in the garden and make love with any of the women you like. It is enough for you to like one of these girls. We will bring her to you so that you can fulfill your desire. The man who heard these words was aroused by sexual excitement. Although he was famous for his wisdom for years, he found it difficult to resist the temptation of those beautiful faces. So, accompanied by two guards, he went to a small clay room to secretly watch the girls. The guards closed the door. On the wall of the mud brick room garden, there was a window through which the young man could have a good view of the garden. In the middle of the garden, there was a marble pond, and around it, fountains sprayed water up into the air, and around the pond, it was full of lilies and narcissus flowers. The maidens, like idols, exhausted from the sun's rays and the heat, came to the pond to splash water on themselves to cool off. So, they took off their clothes and entered the water. It was as if pearls were scattered on the surface of the sea. The pomegranate-like breasts of the girls aroused the desire of every man's heart. The young man was watching the girls bathing. But the more he saw, the more his blood boiled in his veins. Every slender figure he saw, a desire arose in his heart. The man stood like a thief, watching the girls' bodies. The girls washed themselves with water as if they were beautiful flowers being watered by the gardener. Among those women was a very beautiful girl, who could capture the hearts of thousands of men. Just one look at her was enough to make you fall in love with her. Being next to her made reason intoxicated with hope. So the young man liked the beautiful girl, and 2 guards went to the maid and told her, "The owner of this garden is a kind man and is in love with you at first sight." The beautiful girl agreed to be with the man without even seeing him. So they brought the beautiful girl to the clay room. The man, whose patience had run out from seeing that beautiful girl with a tall stature, asked her name. The girl answered, "Noor." The man said, "May the evil eye be far from you." He asked the girl to play the harp for him. The girl played the harp and the man asked about the girl's life, and the maid answered everything with charm and allure. The man asked her, "Are you willing to be my beloved?" The girl said, "Yes." The blood in the man's veins boiled and he stood up and ran his fingers through the girl's hair to caress her. At that moment, shame was no longer an obstacle to the union of the man with the beautiful girl. The man kissed the beloved's face repeatedly and lifted her up to embrace her. However, at that moment, the wall of the clay room was weak and old and collapsed. But at the last moment, the man and the girl moved themselves aside so that the debris did not fall on them, and since they were both of good character, God saved them. So they moved away from that room and each went to a different part of the garden. The man became sad at losing the opportunity, and went to a corner and brooded, while the maid went to other women, with a frown on her forehead. Then she took the harp and started playing. The maid's harp melody, like a lament in the garden, captivated anyone who heard this melody immediately. So the maid sang. In a world where love and music meet, tired lovers find solace in its beat. But a lover who's drunk cannot handle the funk. Repentance in love is obsolete. Love doesn't care for remorse. It's a steady and unyielding force. A good lover will fight with all of their might, even if death is the final course. Swords and arrows may come their way, but lovers will stand strong and stay. For the sound of music in their ears wipes away all their fears, and in love's embrace they will always stray. So let the breeze of music guide the hearts of lovers far and wide. For in love's sweet dance, there's no room for chance, just a symphony of passion and pride. When these poems were spoken from the ruby-like lips of the girl, those 2 guards listened to these poems and imagined that love, like a breeze in the garden, had ignited the fire of love, and these 2 young lovers, like Joseph and Zuleika, were separated. So they went to the man and asked him, "Have you reached your beloved?" The young man described his unsuccessful story. The 2 guards said, "Do not grieve, whatever happens, we will try to bring you 2 together, because that moon-faced one is your beloved and tonight she will rest in your arms." So they said these words and went to the girls to talk to those idols. The sunset has come and the rays of the sun have given way to the stars and the moon, illuminating the night. Those maidens accompanied the girl to be with the man. As if a thirsty cypress has reached the water stream, and tonight is the night of the moon's union with the sun. When the opportunity was right and the beloved was in the embrace, who could have patience and wisdom anymore? The blood boiled in the man's 7 limbs and he struggled to stand up, as if he wanted to pierce the pearl and mate it with a ruby. At that moment, a wild cat on a tree branch saw a bird in a corner hole and pounced to catch the bird. But the bird flew away, and the cat fell on these two lovers, and both of them were shocked by the incident and went to the side with broken hearts. As if a cooked fish became raw again, that beautiful idol went to the other maids, so that she could play the harp again until midnight. She played the harp, sang, and said. Spring came and the crimson rose bloomed. The cypress tree grew tall and strong. The nightingale sang a sweet tune. In the market of pleasure, where all belong, the gardener tended to the land, with care and love in every touch. The king from afar, he did stand, watching the beauty he loved so much. But tragedy struck, a cup fell and broke. A symbol of love shattered in pieces. My heart ached, words left unspoken. For you, my love, my heart never ceases. Oh, you who have stolen my heart, I cannot bear to be apart. In this sonnet, I pour out my heart. For you, my love, my dearest one. Though we may be oceans apart, my love for you will never be undone. Though life may bring trials and pain, my heart belongs to you, remains the same. You are the crimson rose in bloom, the cypress tree, tall and grand, the nightingale's sweet serenade. In my heart, you'll forever stand. Though obstacles may come our way, my love for you will never sway. So I raise a toast to you, my love, with a cup of wine in hand. Though it may break, like the cup above, my love for you will always stand. Oh, you who have stolen my heart, I cannot bear to be apart. The maids heard the secret of the girl's heart, and searched to find the man. But the man was sitting in a corner next to a narrow stream under a bush of jasmine, thinking about his love in vain. The two guards asked him where his love affair with that little girl had gone, and he told them the story of his failure. So both guards were determined to bring these two friends together. Then they brought back the beautiful girl like a fallen flower to the garden. So the girl came forward with kindness, and the man took her hand and led her to a place to make love with her. The man was in a place under the dense branches of trees. He embraced the beloved with kindness and joyfully played with her. He was like a pawn on a chessboard, moving to conquer the castle and extinguish his desire with water. At that moment, a fat and lazy mouse saw some pumpkins hanging on a vine. Like birds flying on a rope, it flew and chewed the rope on which the pumpkins were hanging, and suddenly the pumpkins fell from above, each one making a terrifying sound like a drum in the silence of midnight. As if it's a drum playing for the arrival of a guest. The man thought for a moment that these drum sounds are the night's ambushes and guards have come to pursue him. So he put on his shoes and left from there. The beautiful idol fled with thousands of fears and returned to her companions. Then she stayed for a moment in front of her friends and took up her harp again, and played a new tune. Then she said, two lovers spoke of a friend so dear, who went to meet his lover, to be near. They wished for him to find renewal, and embrace his love like a rose so pure and true. The man held the girl in a tender embrace, eating apples and pomegranates with grace. From the garden of her chest and face, he showered her with affection and embrace. He touched the girl's jewelry box with care, opening its doors, a treasure to share. But alas, there was a commotion in the air, and the man did not reach his love affair. Like a butterfly unable to reach the light, his path was obscured by the darkness of night. O lover, why are your arrows crooked and bent? Come shoot them straight, with pure intent. You beckon me with false promises of love, yet I come to you with determination from above. Our love may be tested, but it will endure, for our bond is strong and our hearts pure. May the lovers find their way back to each other, and embrace once more, like sister and brother. For true love will always find its way, and in each other's arms, forever we'll stay. This poem was recited and 2 guards heard it. Then they went back to the man and saw him stretching his legs, amazed at his failure. They comforted him so he wouldn't be upset, and asked him to explain the situation of his love, which was blowing cold wind in the hell of his heart. The 2 guards swore to untie the knot of love between these 2 friends and bring them together. They advised him to manage things better this time, and be kinder to the girl so she wouldn't run away from him. Just like birds build a nest where pests cannot fly. They added, "We will bring that girl back to you again." They found the girl and brought her back to the lover. The girl, seeing the man again, started flirting to end the man's sorrows. The man, like a lover, took the girl's tresses and looked for a secluded corner in the garden so no one would disturb them. In a corner of the garden, he found a jasmine flower bush shining like a dome of light. The jasmine flower bush had grown up the wall, with its branches emerging from beside a cave. The man found this place suitable to unite with his beloved. The jasmine flower bush had embraced the lover like a blanket. It was like placing an almond among sugar. They had not yet started their love game, when a new wonder was arranged for them by the universe. At the end of the cave, there were several foxes arguing over prey, and a wolf had come in between to snatch the prey from the foxes. So the wolf grabbed the prey in its teeth. Suddenly they ran towards the mouth of the cave, and the wolf also chased after them. The young man unbelievably saw a horde of animals coming towards them. The young girl, without understanding the reason for this event, ran in all directions with a dusty face, while her head was full of various thoughts on how to escape from it. The 2 guards came to the girl like 2 angels to ask her what kind of nature she had that caused her to repeatedly escape from this beloved man. They asked the girl, "As if you don't know the custom of love and are looking for kindness." The girl swore several times that she was unlucky, but the 2 guards did not believe her words. Until the lover man came towards them with a candle in hand and said, "Please refrain from blaming this girl. She is not responsible for the situation. The essence of this woman is pure and no fault can be seen in her. Whatever impurity there is, it is because of this garden. It seems that the will of the universe is for us to stay away from sin, and this fate is unchangeable. Whoever God has decided to be among the noble cannot nurture a devil within their nature. Only a bastard can live a sinful life, and it is not permissible for a noble to engage in sinful activities. Now I repent of the bad thoughts I had and accept the will of God, from which there is no escape. So it is better to bring her to our marriage through lawful means instead of wrongdoing." The 2 guards admired the man for his pure belief. So many things that we think are difficult, while there is an easier and safer way to reach the goal. So many pains that we think are diseases, when there may be a cure for our body. In the morning, when the sunlight spreads like a spider's web on the surface of the earth, the man was released from the bondage of last night's desires and came to the city to marry the girl with a dowry. As if he could drink clear and pure water instead of poisoned drinks. The light of the day is white. White is the color that illuminates the world. In all colors there is deception, except for white, which is not contaminated, and that is why when worshipping the Lord, it is appropriate to wear white clothes. So that night, with the story of the man and the garden, came to an end, and it was truly a good night. Thanks to this story, the Lady of the White Dome seemed to have opened the doors of the 7 heavens to the 7 domes.